Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed those last 2 episodes. Now we're going to start talking about how we compose shots as far as storyboards goes. What I've done is I have brought back my little rule of thirds breakdown, and I faded that out. That way it's not too distracting, so you can see this as a guide. Basically, with your frame, and it doesn't matter what aspect ratio you're using, you're basically want to, your frame is going to have these 9 quadrants. And your DP is going to compose all of their shots based on what is aesthetically, shot design wise, looks great for this particular frame. But you can help them out a lot by showing them your vision. So using the techniques that we've went over before as far as drawing people or whatnot, we're going to do a demonstration of what you can do as far as like composing your shots. All right, so we're going to use all 5 of these frames, and we're going to sketch this out as quick as we can because we are not trying to win art awards. We are trying to just get these storyboards out quick so that we can communicate to our DP what we want to do as far as our film goes, right? So generally speaking, a lot of filmmakers follow a formula where you start with your wide shot, your master shot, and then you get your coverage, your close-ups, your medium shots back and forth before going back to the master. All right, and sometimes you only show the master in the beginning and then you just stick with your coverage. All right, so let's set up a master shot. We're going to set this up at a table. Okay, this married couple is having dinner, and since I am actually recording this on Valentine's Day, they're out for Valentine's. Right, so they're at a table. Now in this restaurant, remember the perspective, right? I'm going to use this bottom frame to show the edge of the table first. It's going to be about right here, frame like so, because I want the corners of the table to almost hit those converging points. In fact, they're not going to hit quite, yeah, they actually are. So I want them to hit those converging points. So there's my table. All right. And now I have my actor, and just for the sake of argument, we're going to make this a heterosexual couple. So I'm going to have a female and a male. They're basically in this master shot. It's not too wide. Well, say like you change your mind. You go, okay, you know what? I actually want it wider. This is more of a medium shot. All right. So what we can do is back that out. We're backing the camera out by bringing the table further into the frame. So now we have the edge of the, let me go back to a straight line. Use a ruler when you're doing your lines. It makes things a lot easier, right? And then we'll give the table a little bit of dimension here. There's the edge of the table. There's the bottom of the table. Okay. Now we've pulled back, right? And they're going to be in a booth. So the edge of the booth is going to be a little higher. The edge of the booth not going to be quite as high as that top frame, but that's about the edge of the booth. About right so. And then behind that is, the background. But we're not going to pay any attention to that because right now it's not important, right? Now we're going to have I'm going to add another layer for my actors. Okay, so we're going to put the guy on the right, camera right. So you basically draw the head. So you sketch out the head. And what I do is I'll roughly sketch the side of their body. Since they're sitting at the table, their hip is going to kind of be in frame, so you're going to see the top of their leg, their arm. Usually, there's their shoulder. They're usually going to be sitting here, on the table. Their hands going to be down like this. And this is really, as far as detail goes, that's all you really need to do. You don't need to, and then of course the table, there's where the table is, the stalk of the table holding the table up, right? So then your actress is going to be here. Right, and she's going to have a little narrower shoulders. Her arms are going to be very similar, maybe. You're just showing a rough indicator of where she is. There's her knee, and then the bottom of the leg is out of frame, right? Now, say she has longer hair, so you're going to indicate she has longer hair, and it's like, okay. Now, let me fix that because their eye line's almost going to be say like as a director, you're composing this, you're saying, I want them in profile on this because they're kind of like looking at each other. So there's her eye line, there's his eye line, they're looking at each other. You know, this is almost like, it's almost like a duel. Like maybe they're not completely happy with each other or whatnot. That always makes more interesting dramas when you have conflict. There's the back of the chair, you just indicate that a little bit, right? And then, oh, it's Valentine's Day, so we're going to put a little vase and then a little flower on the table, right? You know, they've got their menus. Say like, oh, you change your mind. Oh, they're looking at their menus. So then you just basically put in a menu here, right? And like again, you know, you're using perspective. There's the hand there, so you want to clean up the hand down here. So he's holding the menu. Same thing with her. Maybe she doesn't have her menu. Maybe she wants him to talk to her, but he's more intent on what he wants to order, and he's not paying attention to her. So immediately we have conflict in this master shot, right? Great. Okay, so now we have our master. Let's bring down these these, what I call the rule of thirds down here. All right? Whoop, that's the wrong. Thirds. Okay, there's my thirds. Bring them down here. All right. Now, you're going to do an over-the-shoulder shot. All right? Since it's clear in this setup here that she is bothered by he's not paying attention to her, the next shot, logically, as if I was directing this, I would shoot her close-up first. Now, not her close-up, but her coverage. Now we're going to do a medium shot. Okay? So the camera is now going to be positioned over his shoulder, where his shoulder is going to be in the frame, in the foreground, and her face is going to be in the background looking at his eye line. So how do we draw that? So now we have to visualize. We can ignore the table now because the table is basically going to be in the bottom. So we're going to start, I always like to start with the actor. So she's basically going to be, you really roughly want to get her head framed. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to bring it up here. Yeah, you want to get her head framed in here, in this area, right? And it's a little tighter, and it depends on the lens too. You know, in your DP, you can talk to your DP about, you know, to get the different effects. This one is going to simulate, we're using a longer lens, so maybe we're using a 50 millimeter lens. So the top of her head, you're getting more of her face, but you're not getting the top of her head, and you're not getting much headroom here. So you're getting her shoulder there. Her eyes are going to be roughly here. And remember how I said about like the eye line, and then the nose, and then the mouth. So the nose is going to be about like that. Her eye line's looking at him. This eye is closer to the camera. Boom, looking at him. This is the back of. So to balance out this composition-wise, the back of his head's going to be in here, and he's in shadow. So you basically just, you know, got him there. And if there's the table, you know, this is so close to where the table's not even showing up. You would probably see maybe the flower would be there, but the tabletop is down here because we've brought in a longer lens, and we got, so that's an over the shoulder on her, right? If you wanted to do a tighter shot, a close-up, but still have what they call dirty, which means he's still in the frame. Again, let's bring our thirds down to help us compose this. You're going to keep using a very similar construction. Let me go back up to that layer. And you're going to basically, now, more of his shoulder, you get more of his shoulder and you don't really get his head, right? You basically, let me get a bunch of, that's him, right? That's the back, his back. You're not really getting his head, hardly. You're getting more of her. And she is going to be super tight. So this is like just, in fact, you notice how I'm changing this too. It's because, and I should have done this, you want to start with her. You want to start with your hero actor. Who's the hero of the shot? And then, you know, eye line. And she's, you know, talking. There's her neck. So this is more of a medium close-up. So now that I've got her established, and it's roughly the same composition. It's almost in the same point perspective-wise, according to the rule of thirds. So now, this shoulder is actually going to be just barely in the frame because his head's out there, because our eye line is he's off screen, except for the shoulder, right? And then again, if you were to make this a single, it's basically the same framing. It's just, ignore this moving here, just pay attention to this frame down here. So instead of her being here, she's more centered. He is now completely off frame. It becomes a single, right? That's a single. And a lot of times too, if you're going to want to get that close, I find it aesthetically more pleasing is if we make her bigger. So you would draw this bigger. I'm just doing this to show you. Of course, this is doing the whole layer, but again, you would want more. A good close-up is composed pretty much like that. So let me just clean this up for you so you can see. So basically, below the chin, the most important thing in a close-up are the eyes, right? That's what the camera's looking at. And the eye line is going to match from back there to, to there, okay? So that's basically how you compose some basic dialogue shots. In the next episode, I'm going to talk to you more about action shots, how I storyboard action sequences using a couple of like little basic martial arts frames. So keep practicing, and I will see you next time.